I cross-post to a bunch of other places. Everything's linked up on our website, by the way. grnonline.com/CDT is a great way to get in on that. But you can also just hang out right on our webpage and watch us live for the after show, where we will pull a name out of the hat, Coffee Cup of Divine Providence, and give away a $300 gift watch from Agard Watches. Praise be to Jesus. Good morning to you, Father Frank Pavone, National Director for Priests for Life. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Good to be with you.
Praise be to God. We're glad to see you here. Thank you for your time today. I was just talking to the audience about the update on all the violence over the weekend and the insanity, especially that which took place up in New York, out in front of St. Patrick's Cathedral up there. Utterly insane. It seems like the hardcore pro-aborts, I mean, you can make an argument that they may be possessed. It seems that bad. What say you, Father Frank Pavone?
You know, over the years, we have always, in investigating the abortion industry and talking with former abortionists whom we've helped come to healing, in doing some undercover work among the activists in the pro-abortion movement, we've always seen this deep hatred for the church. And of course, they haven't been unwilling to make that very explicit and public. What we have here is a conflict on so many different levels, not only between two different political platforms, not only between two different philosophies. We really have, in the abortion debate, the true church against the false church. Now think of it for a moment. Okay, so they're upset, and we can understand this, that it looks like the Supreme Court's about to do away with Roe v. Wade. But why wouldn't they go then to their state capitals and start putting pressure on their lawmakers? Because if Justice Alito's leaked opinion stands, those legislators are still able to keep abortion legal, just like these people want. But no, they don't go to the lawmakers. They go to the churches. The churches don't write the laws. Why are they going to the churches? Because when we attack abortion and when we attack Roe v. Wade, it's like we're attacking their sacrament, their dogma. We close the abortion clinics, we're closing their churches. So their response to us, as misplaced in many ways as it is, really shows the kind of conflict that we're engaged in.
You know, Father, that makes me think, I was just commenting about this the other day, is that the fact that I have been very saddened to see very, very few prelates, priests, bishops, and others in the church take a strong stance about this and actually encourage the defense of our churches and to condemn these actions from these radicals. But also, the other thing I've seen often, especially on Twitter, is a lack of care for the victims of these pro-abortion people. They're saying, "Oh, these poor people, look how horrible they are," and instead of saying, recognizing that God is being offended, Our Lady is being offended, and the Eucharist is being attacked, and babies are being murdered.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you know, of course, that's at the core of our ministry of Priests for Life, is helping the priests, the deacons, the bishops, the clergy of all denominations to take a strong stand on this. You know, I was privileged to know Dr. Bernard Nathanson, one of the architects of the abortion movement, the abortion industry. And of course, he became pro-life. Cardinal O'Connor baptized him in St. Patrick's Cathedral, and he became a great Catholic pro-life advocate and a bioethicist. And Dr. Nathanson always told us, and he wrote about this publicly, how if the clergy had been, in the words he used were united, purposeful, and strong, had the clergy been that way when he and his friends were launching the abortion industry, they would have never gotten away with it. And that's why he loved our ministry so much and supported Priests for Life, because he says, look, we've got to get the priests encouraged and strengthened. And everyone listening has a role in that. I mean, we as priests, we do it on a peer-to-peer level, but priests need support from all of the laity. They hear them say something about abortion. Go out of your way to encourage them, thank them, give them some of the good resources that are out there from us and so many other pro-life groups. And of course, they need encouragement from their bishops. And here I got to be very honest. A lot of times, you know, we get memos and pastors get memos from their diocese, basically telling them to keep quiet and not get anybody angry. It's like, wait a minute, we follow a man who was crucified. We follow a God who got so much opposition that they nailed him to a cross. How are we to expect? In fact, Scripture says this, doesn't it? No servant is greater than his master. How do we expect to be treated better than Jesus was?
Father, going back to something you mentioned just a minute ago, in your experience as a priest, you've been the head of the Priests for Life for quite a while now. You've experienced a lot of people convert and change from their positions on abortion. It's hard for me to see the amount of hatred, the really disgusting, appalling behavior that we see today by pro-abortion people, and it's hard for me to relate and sympathize to them. But how would you say, in your experience with these people who have converted, what brought them over, and what can we do to help them to change their mind?
There have been some dramatic conversions and so many beautiful conversions that I've been witness to and have been part of, whether it's people who are advocating for abortion, actually doing abortions, even the Jane Roe of Roe v. Wade, as you know, I received her into the Catholic Church myself. Here's part of what's going on. There's a lot of pain out there. Now, we don't excuse anything that any of these radicals do, including this past weekend or any time. But think about here what is often going on. And our pastoral associates, Dr. Teresa Burke and Kevin Burke, who founded Rachel's Vineyard, the largest ministry in the world for healing the wounds of abortion, explain it this way. If you have either had an abortion or been involved in abortion, and of course, we don't know which of these people have or haven't been, likely many of them have. But even if you've cooperated or advocated in any way for abortion, just from our basic human nature, you feel a lot of sadness and guilt and pain from that, because everybody knows this kills a baby. Okay. Well, what do you do with that pain? You're angry at yourself at the deepest level. You're angry at yourself. But what do you do with that? Well, these people can't direct the anger at themselves because that would be too much to bear. And then they would have to stop doing what they're doing. So instead, they displace the anger. They've got to have somebody to lash out at. It's coming from their own anger at themselves. So what do? They create a bad guy. And this, in fact, is what Nathanson himself did. He says, let's make the Catholic Church the bad guy here and make up statistics and pretend that Catholics are in favor of abortion and say that it's the clergy and the hierarchy who are the enemy. So let's look at these people as, okay, they're lashing out because out of that deep pain of abortion. So one of the ways that we lead them along the path, and one of the ways that many of these people have converted, is when they know that we know their pain. Let me say that again. They have to know that we know their pain. And when we can express that compassionately, they know the result.
I am post-abortive. I took a woman to get an abortion back in 1994, and I had to live with that for so many years until I finally made that confession, and that began a journey of healing, praise be to God. And I think I related to so much of what you said before the break about how people are at war internally and they can't really, they don't have the language or the means by which to really understand why that war is raging and what it all means. And from that perspective, I sort of feel sorry for most of these people. My heart breaks for them. But nonetheless, we must do what is right. So let's talk about the pressures to feel too sorry for them in some ways. Like, because I'm so emotionally sorry for them, then I guess I will just, not decide to do the right thing. Do you think the Supreme Court may be pressured now to reverse course, these justices with protesters out in front of their house threatening their families? Will they reverse course because of that?
No, I don't think so. I actually have the privilege of knowing some of them from pretty frequent encounters. Many of these Supreme Court justices, they're solid. And especially when you look at the decision, you look at Justice Alito's leaked opinion, and you're talking about something so fundamental here to the Constitution, not to mention morality. But essentially, of course, they're arguing Constitution and history. that, there could be plenty of decisions that the court makes that are, debatable. This one is so clear that, and these justices all recognize the pressures. First of all, remember, we don't know what kind of pressures they have been under over the past year. It was almost a year ago now that they announced they were taking this case. And I'm sure that behind the scenes, the kind of threats, the kind of intimidation that have now become so much in the spotlight have been going on for this entire year. And the latest we're hearing from people close to the court is that the majority is holding in favor of reversing Roe v. Wade.
Praise be to God.
Five. Apparently, we have 5. So no, I think they're gonna hold firm. What this is going to do, though, is lead to a lot of discussion now about what do we do going forward, because the leak of this really harms the court and its way of functioning. And something has got to be done to restore confidence among the people in the legitimacy and the proper functioning of the court.
Do you think we'll ever know who the leaker is?
I think so. There's 45 people who would have had access to this document that was leaked. The 9 justices themselves, of course, and 4 clerks for each justice. The Chief Justice launched an investigation right away through the court's internal system. I think the person will be identified and certainly should pay a heavy price.
I was watching I think it was last night, I watched an NPR person say, the primary theory is it was a conservative clerk that leaked this document. Do you think that's true? Do you think it was the conservative side, or do you think it was the liberal side? Do you have any speculation on that?
I don't see how a conservative doing it would help us. Certainly, it would make sense that somebody on the inside, on the left wing side of the court, was getting desperate and saw things were not going their way. I mean, if they were able to persuade enough justices to preserve Roe v. Wade through the usual internal workings of the court, well, then they would have accomplished their goal. But if that weren't working, and if things were really going the wrong way, I could see someone out of desperation saying, "Well, let's blow the whole thing up here. Let's get this out there, get people all riled up, and maybe the public pressure will do what the internal reasonings and meetings were not able to do." That makes more sense to me.
Okay, so why would they, at this point, with protesters out in front of their house and the threat of violence across the country, especially to Catholic churches, I would argue, why wouldn't they just release their decision sooner? Why wait till June to release this? Why not just do it now?
Yes, this is an important question. Remember, June has never been a promise from the court. In other words, that it would come out at the end of June was sort of like an outer marker. We were never privy to any information about timelines. In fact, I've always been of the opinion that it would come out sooner than that, only because the oral arguments were much sooner than many of the abortion cases that did come out in June in the past, but they were argued in March. This one was argued December 1st. Now, as far as whether they should accelerate the timetable, there are strong arguments for that. But I think the most important thing is that the court do its job, finish its work, whatever still needs to be done. Remember, when an opinion like that from Alito, which was absolutely, just I got to emphasize again, such a fantastic document. I want to encourage people to read it, as a matter of fact, because even if it gets edited, it still contains the key arguments. And we have a special site, SupremeCourtVictory.com, where people can get it, that and all the info. But what happens once that comes out, the justices read it. They propose edits to it. I want to add one paragraph. I want to change this other one. And then the ones who are in agreement can write concurring opinions where they say, I agree with the judgment, but I want to add a few additional arguments. Let me write my own opinion to go along with this majority opinion. And then, of course, the dissenters have to write their opinions and their concurring opinions. So we don't know where they are in that whole process. But I assume, being that this draft is dated February, and being that they're already issuing decisions on a lot of the cases they heard in November, I assume they're pretty close to finishing. And I hope it comes out very soon. Again, as you say, to settle this public pressure campaign.
Father, a couple things. One is, do you think that the Supreme Court justices are safe right now? Because I've seen people throw Molotov cocktails into buildings. Makes me very scared for the Supreme Court justices that may be under attack right now physically. And if they are killed, for instance, then they would no longer be able to vote on this issue.
Yeah, I think, like I said, there's always been some danger, and there's always danger around the abortion issue. There's always also been security. I think, in fact, I know the security now, has been ramped up. I think that the security that the court employs and the added security are quite capable of protecting them and their families. It's sad that we have to be in a situation like this, but I think that the right kind of precautions are taking place for them to be safe. But again, I would urge people to think about it this way. The pro-abortion forces are always saying to us, "Oh, we're in the majority. Roe is settled law. Most Americans don't want to overturn Roe. Most voters are on our side. We've got this in the bag, and we've had it this way for 50 years. Well, listen, if they believe their own rhetoric, why are they behaving so crazy? Relax. If you think that all the people are with you, hey, go to your legislators. Tell them you want to pass laws like New Jersey recently passed, Colorado. Oh, abortion right up until birth, no restrictions. You think most people agree with you? Well, then make your case and pass the laws. Why are you acting like lunatics? The fact that they're acting this way, putting the justices in danger, disrupting churches, just going crazy, shows that they really don't believe their own rhetoric. They believe we're winning. And as a matter of fact, that happens to be true.
And what about, do you think there's going to be an increase in violence after the decision is made? Because we're already seeing violence now. I can't imagine what predictions you may have about what may happen when the decision is actually brought down.
Well, the radical left is violent, and the abortion industry and the radical left are joined together. So yes, there'll be riots. I have no doubt. But these people have always behaved this way. And America has seen this, with cities burning down a couple of summers ago. And, those on the left, you can't seem to tell the difference between a violent riot and a peaceful protest. They say, oh, the protests are peaceful and so forth. We have to call on the Democrat Party, actually, to call this out, because these are their allies. We need to hear. I haven't heard enough from Biden, from the White House, from the Speaker of the House and Congress. Where is their unqualified? We do the same thing anytime somebody on our side does something that is violent. We speak out in a united, strong, clear voice. Where's the other side's condemnation of this kind of behavior and their appeal to the people on their own side to use the process that our American system of government gives us to work out these heated disputes and disagreements in a lawful, peaceful way? We have the mechanism to do that. Here's another thing I was saying on social media, and I hope, by the way, everyone follows me on the social media platforms. FR Frank Pavone is my handle. I was saying this. I said, look, why do these people behave this way? Because the Supreme Court short-circuited the process of peaceful, legal, painstaking, democratic lawmaking procedures that our Constitution provides. They short-circuited it by plucking abortion out of that process, giving it a special constitutional status 50 years ago, and saying to the lawmakers, sorry, but you can't do anything to protect these unborn babies. Now, if they had not done that and let the legislative process work itself out, these people on the pro-abortion side could have engaged with us in that process, and I don't think you would have had the same kind of reaction. But they just got abortion handed to them on a silver platter. They didn't have to persuade the people. They didn't have to persuade the lawmakers. They didn't have to persuade the voters. They just hid behind the robes of the justices. Now, when they see that slipping out of their hands, they take temper tantrum like a spoiled child, because they have been spoiled. See, that's the point. They haven't had to work to get position put into law.
We are out of time. Father Frank Pavone has been our guest. Priestforlife.org is his website. Check him out there. You can also follow him on all his social platforms through the links there, priestforlife.org. Father Frank Pavone, thank you for your time. God bless you. God love you. Have a great day.
God bless you all.
That's going to do it for hour number 1 of Catholic Drive Time. Join us in the second hour if you can. Hang out with us online, grnonline.com/CDT.